Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Monday night iBUG Buzz. Today is September 9th, 2024, and this is Buzz Call number 650 in our ongoing series designed to help you learn and be more confident when using your iPhone. Anyhow, my name is Brad Snyder. I am your facilitator for this evening. Sandy Rao is still not feeling well and is not going to be with us tonight. We continue to wish her well on her recovery. The iBUG Buzz is an open forum where we discuss all things iOS. That means we'll talk about things such as your iPhones, iPads, Apple TV, Apple Watch. If you're still using an whatever it's called. Why can't I say it? I'll remember in a second. iPod Touch. Thank you, Pete. Then we'll even talk about that. But one thing we keep it to iOS hardware, peripherals, apps, all that kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and with some of those intros out of the way, let's talk a little bit about what's coming up this week in the iOS universe. I mean, the iBUG universe. Obviously, tonight we're doing the Buzz Call. Tomorrow night, we do a mini version of this from 5 p.m., all times Central, of course. 5 to 6, we do that here in this Zoom room, the iBUG Mini Buzz, where we'll talk about pretty much the same thing we talk about in here. We just do it on Tuesdays a little earlier and only for an hour. I don't believe we have anything on Wednesday this week. We have the Vila Book Club on Thursday, kicking off at 6:30 p.m. I believe the book for this month is The Convict. So if you, I can't remember, I think they said it's about 14 hours. If you haven't gotten started, you can download it and put your Victor Stream on 2X and zip right through it. So that is Thursday at 6:30. Friday, we have the iBUG Friday night audio described movie. And you can find out what that movie will be is when we do the big reveal coming up here at the midway point later on tonight. I know that's what everybody's really here for, is the big reveal. And we'll find out about those clues, those wacky, crazy clues, and we'll find out who's presenting them tonight. So I think that's everything on the calendar. I don't think there's anything this weekend. Is there, Pete? No, we don't have anything this weekend.
No,
we did
we're free this
cafe
weekend.
last weekend, and we're usually off the next weekend. Okay. And then, of course, we'll be back here next Monday and do all this all over again. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and go around the room and let everybody say hello. Tell us your name. Tell us where you're joining us from. We also like to know if you're new to iBUG, please speak up. If you're new to iBUG, or if this is just your first time on this call, please let us know. We'd like to give you a special welcome. So let me show you how it's done. Get things started. My dad, and I am joining from Dallas, Texas.
This is Ned. This is Ned from Kyle, Texas.
This is Pete. And this is Pete from Florida.
This is Helene from Woodstock, New York.
Sree from Virginia.
Brian from Ontario, sending good vibes to Sandia.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Sorry, I was checking things there. Welcome.
Jody from New Hampshire.
Welcome, Jody. You're breaking up there a little bit, Jody.
Cynthia from Houston.
Welcome, Cynthia. Are you new?
Um, well, sort of, but I've been on a few calls.
Okay, well, welcome. Is this your first time on this call?
No, I've been on this one before. Thank
Okay.
you. It's you guys do a great job.
Well, thank you very much. We enjoy what we're doing and we're glad to be able to help. Okay, who's next?
This is John
Welcome,
from
John.
Austin, sitting on the patio because it was 59 degrees this morning.
No
You're
kidding.
showing off.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
No air conditioning for the past few
In
days.
Austin,
Be here
no less.
in the morning to
Wow.
fix
Yeah.
it. So, who's next?
This is Dee in Southern Illinois.
Welcome,
And John,
Dee.
I got you beat. It was about 44 here this morning
Wow.
and
Gosh.
75 in the afternoon.
All right, don't rub it in.
Paul in Columbus.
Welcome.
This is Deborah from Houston.
Welcome, Deborah.
Brad, we have a hand raised. Just a reminder, folks, we don't use the raised
we don't
hand
do
feature.
hands.
Thank you,
Just
Deborah.
please, right now we're going through with everybody saying hello, but usually what we do is when we get to the main portion of the program, we ask that you state your name and wait to be recognized by, well, me. I'm the only facilitator tonight. So, and that's how we do it. We don't do raised hands. So, but if you got your hand up because you want to say hello, please just say hello.
Find
Okay.
that mute button, Deborah.
This is Deb from
Yeah.
Kansas. Hi, guys.
Welcome, Deb. Welcome.
I
Yeah,
didn't
when we
know it
started
was that
recording,
Deb.
you're going to get a little thing that you got to acknowledge that you know you're being recorded, and it's like signing a waiver.
This is
Oh,
Jerry
so
from
yeah.
Vermont.
Jerry,
Howdy.
Sree.
Greg in Texas.
Karen.
welcome. Greg,
Karen in Philly.
welcome.
Linda, Texas.
Hey, Linda, welcome.
Elizabeth from Newfoundland.
Welcome all the way from Newfoundland. Welcome. I know we have a lot of Canadians that join us. That's great.
Me from Missouri.
And welcome, Kenny. Anybody else?
John from BC, Canada.
Welcome, John. Another Canadian joining us. All right. Who else we got? Is that everybody? All right. Well, we're going to deviate from our usual fare tonight. Usually we do Q&A, but there was a little iPhone event today, Apple event today, where they debuted iPhones, new Apple Watches. I believe there were some AirPod news in there, and our very own Sree Roy is going to give us a little wrap up of what went on today. Sree, are you there? I think I heard you.
I am here.
Okay, hang on. I'm going to mute everybody and let me see. I don't know if Julie made you.
All right, Brad, can you hear me?
There he is. Yes, sir. Very good. Very good. Very good.
All right.
Taking
Hopefully
care of that early, but I'm sure you were still putting your presentation together at the last minute, dotting them I's and crossing them T's. All righty. Tell us what happened today. What do we need to know?
All right. Well, hopefully, if I did miss anything, if the group heard something else, definitely chime in afterwards. All right. It's all about the Apple Glow Time. It started with the Apple Watch. We started with the Series 10, and it's available in aluminum and titanium. The starting price is at $399, and it's running Watch OS 11. Both units are a little bit bigger from the previous one. The screen size is 42 millimeter for the small one and 46 millimeter for the larger watch. The thickness is about 9.7 millimeters, and they said the speaker has actually gotten smaller by 30%. It does support fast charging, so that within 30 minutes, you would get 80% of the charge for the watch. The shape of the watch is relatively same, but it is a little bit thinner. The corners are a little bit rounded. And some of these things I'm going to talk about is more visually, but I thought I'd just pass it along. Apparently, you can see this watch in a much more in the angle view, as someone who is sighted would be able to see it in a much more in a wider angle. The display is always on now, and apparently you can see the second marker all the time. If you have always on Pro, I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but you can have the watch display be always on. The colors that they come in on the aluminum is a polished jet black, rose gold, silver, and on the titanium, the colors are, you get the natural titanium color, gold, slate gray. And let's take a look at some of the new features on the watch. You can now play music on your watch. Before, we would have to use a Bluetooth, but now you can listen to music straight from the watch. Now, apparently the watch has a better in suppressing noise, so when you're on a phone call, you get a much better audio quality. It does support smart stack widgets now, and apparently it supports more translated languages on your watch. So the big new feature that came in the Apple Watch is sleep apnea. It monitors your breathing habits and does an annual report of every 30 days. It runs a report. So the Ultra Watch, it retails for $799. The price didn't change for that. The color that it comes in is Starlight, Midnight Blue, Purple, Orange. And some of the new features that came in the Ultra are depth gauge. So it can measure up to 20 feet. So when you're in the water, it gives you a depth gauge now. It also measures the water temperature. It does have a new app. The app is called Tide Wave. So you can run a report, check out the tides. If you are, I guess, someone who enjoys surfing, you can check out the tide waves. It tells you the level of the tides. So like I said, if you enjoy going surfing, that might be a very useful tool to have with you. So the Apple Watches are going to be available on September 20th. I think you can place an order and be available for September 20th. The Apple Watch SE, not much was mentioned, so I think everything is the same as the previous model. So the next part of the presentation was the AirPods, and they started it with the AirPods 4. It starts at $129, and it does come with the H2 chip now, and it does have a much better audio quality. You get personalized spatial audio now. It does support USB-C, and the total battery life is about 30 hours with the case. The AirPod 4, they also have another AirPod 4 also comes in with noise cancellation that sells for $179. So you get AirPod 4 regular and AirPod 4 with noise cancellation. It also supports transparency mode, and it does have wireless charging and along with a speaker on the case. And that is for the AirPod 4 with noise cancellation. Then there is the AirPod Max. It's the same price as last time before, at $549. It does have some new colors: Starlight, blue, orange, I'm trying to think, blue, purple, and like I said, Starlight. I think it's Starlight Black. I could be wrong.
Pete?
Yeah, Pete.
Do you know what the Starlight color is? Is it Starlight Blue and Starlight Black? Are those the two different?
I think it's Starlight Blue, and there's a midnight. There's a black color also, but I think it's
What
Starlight.
the Starlight is, that implies light color, like a gold or something. I'm wondering.
I believe it's a goldish kind of color. At least it was before.
Yeah, that's what would be like.
It is
a
on the
star
Max.
would be gold. Yeah. Okay. Just curious.
Yeah.
Sorry for
The only thing that they
interruption.
change is the colors. Everything else looks the same. It does have USB-C, so all you USB-C fans, if you want to, are sick and tired of Lightning port, you can get one with USB-C. So the last one is the AirPod Pro. It does have a new health feature that got some conversation going on in the demonstration. And it has to do with helping with those who have hearing impairment. It does give you 4 benefits from this hearing impairment. First is prevention. That is in help in reducing the environmental noise. The second one is hearing protection. And this is where it provides passive noise through the headphones. Third is awareness. So this is pretty interesting because it has a built-in hearing test that you can perform on it. It takes about 5 minutes to run the test. And the last one is you can also create a hearing profiles that will update all your other devices. And this whole hearing that they're trying to put in is waiting for FDA approval, which they think will have it in the upcoming months. Then they went to the iPhone 6.
All this is just a software update for the AirPods
Yes.
Pro 2, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
The hardware's not really changed. It's just all software,
and that would be free, I would assume.
It is. And I forgot to mention I did forget to mention on the AirPod 4, it does now you can use your nodding your head to answer and disconnect the call, and it does have some other features by pressing the stem. I forgot to make a note of that, but there are some new features.
Comes with the H2 chip that's been in the AirPods Pro 2
yes
for a while now.
Yes, it does have the H2 chip. I forgot to mention that too. All right, next is the iPhone 16. It does have the A18 processor. So this is a time where all the iPhones are having the 18 processor, but there are some changes. There are, excuse me, there are some differences between the regular and the Pro, which I'll mention in a second. The regular iPhone 16 starts at $799 with it has a 6.1-inch screen and it has 128 gigabyte storage. Then there's the iPhone Plus, which also has the A18 processor, and it has it starts at $899. And it has a 6.7-inch screen. So the screen size is basically the same as the 15 and the 15 Plus. And it also comes with 128 gigabyte storage. Okay, all the iPhone 16s come with the Apple Intelligence. These iPhones are made from aluminum and glass. It does have a brightness niche from 1 all the way up to 2000 nits. It does have the action button, which has now been replaced with the action button has replaced the mute slider that we're all familiar with. Now, the new button that came, which we all were thinking was the CAPTCHA, but it ended up being called the camera control, and it is located on the right side of the phone. The 16s come with a 16 neural engines, and they say that is about 17% from the last year's model. And the memory performance from last year, it does have 3 nano technology. It has a 6-core CPU, and they say that's about 30% faster than last year's model. It does have a 5-core GPU, which they say is about 40% faster than it was last year's model. Now let's talk a little bit about Apple Intelligence. It is built by Apple, and it now understands any type of request, and it tries to simplify the task that you ask. And I'll give you some examples a little bit later on. Like for example, when you ask a request, it will process that request first locally on your device. And if it cannot process the device, then it will go to these servers that are hosted by Apple. And they call it the private cloud computing. And that is where all the Apple servers reside. So they try to keep this whole concept of privacy in check. All right, so let's take a look at 4 different ways that we can see how Apple Intelligence will come and assist us. Now, first one is writing tools. We could have Apple Intelligence write something for us based on different tones. You can make it funny, you can make it serious, you can make it professional. It will all do this writing automatically for you. It will also summarize. So if you have something that is presented to you, it will automatically summarize that for you. The second one is image playground. This is pretty cool. So in the photos, let's say I took a picture, but I have no idea when I took it. But I say, this is a picture of Pete and me at the restaurant in Jacksonville. It will automatically go and find those pictures based on what I just said, even though I don't know where this picture is located, but I just, just request and ask in the photos library and it'll go and find it.
Cool.
It'll also tell me, like, let's just say if I took a picture and I didn't know when I took it, it can also give me that kind of information. It's pretty cool with the photos. Like I said, and you could also describe the picture. Like you could describe, hey, there's a picture of me standing by the mountain. Go find it. It'll go find those pictures. The third one is prioritize. This is where it can survey your inbox. It can notify if you have a notification that has higher priority, then it'll notify you with that first. And the fourth one is Siri. We all love our Siri, don't we? Now, with Siri, it's going to sound more natural. If you've ever heard the World Developers Conference, you would have heard them give an example of how Siri communicates with naturally speaking back to us. And it's very specific to us, to our requests. It can keep track of things. And the example that they gave prior was that, it took a look at the calendar, found out that so-and-so was coming from the airport. They like this kind of restaurant. So they made a reservation at that time at that restaurant. Siri did all that based on what it found on this mail exchange between 2 people. One of the cool things that Siri is going to do for us now is we can ask Siri if we say, hey, I don't know where voiceover commands is. Siri will tell you step by step how to get there on your phone. So you can ask Siri to give you guidance on doing things within the device, which I think is pretty cool for us. All right, so you can also tell Siri, which is also cool, is let's say there's a picture that I want to send to Pete or Brad. I could just say, hey, take this picture, and then I want you to go ahead and email it to Brad and Pete. And it's going to do that without me even having to go into the picture and select the mail to send it. Siri itself will do all that stuff. So those are part of the Apple Intelligence. They're saying that my bad. They're saying that the beta version is going to be available early next month. And I believe some of the Siri 2.0 will come up later next year. All right, we also got visual intelligence. This is also pretty cool. So you could take a picture of a restaurant, and then it will tell you more information about the restaurant. It'll tell you when the restaurant is open, what's in the menu, just by taking a picture of something. And you could also take a picture, and if you don't know what this picture is, you can actually have Google automatically look and search for those pictures also on the web by just taking a picture and then asking the question. There's also camera control. That is the new button that I mentioned a little bit earlier. It is on the right side next to the side button. I'm not exactly sure where it is in relation to the side button, but I think it's somewhere close to the middle of the right side of the phone. They say it feels like a stainless steel that is flushed against the side of the phone. And this is a new way to capture photos and videos. You could take pictures using this particular button by just either double tapping to take a picture, or you can do a tap and hold to start taking videos without having to go to the camera. The camera is a 48 megapixel, so that improved. It has a 2-time telephoto, and it has an ultra-wide lens. And it has, it also has an autofocus. And it does do macro photos, which was only available on the Pro Series before. Now you can get it on the regular phone. This is where you could take your camera and come really, really close to an object. Let's say it's an ant or something really small, and you want to take a picture. It can take a very nice, clean picture because it has this feature. And this is probably very useful if you're trying to capture a picture of reading something that's very tiny and you want to make sure the focus doesn't get blurred. And now you're going to be able to do that with this feature in the camera. You're also going to get a much better audio quality with the new phones. It's going to help you reduce some of the external noises when you're on a call. It also is going to have a better use of the battery because it's going to have a new thermal type of a protection. So not only it's going to help the battery from overheating, but it should also give us a much larger battery life with it. And if you're a gamer, last year most of the very popular games were only going to be able to play it on the Pro Series phones, but now you can play those type of games on a regular phone. And also, you're going to have the emergency SOS to the satellite that's going to be available for all these phones. Apparently, it's going to be available in 17 different countries, which is kind of cool, especially if you're traveling. You also have roadside assistance with this. And apparently, for those who are interested in potentially getting a new iPhone 16, Apple says they're going to offer up to $800, but depending on the type of phones you have, for trade-in. So let's take a look at the iPhone Pro. This one's going to have the A18 Pro chip. So that's what's going to be different between the regular and the Plus and the Pros. Is going to have a Pro chip in here. And the screen size have gotten bigger on the Pro and the Pro Max. It's going from 6.1 to 6.3 inches. And the price hasn't changed, which is great. It starts at $999. And in the Pro Max, the screen size went from 6.7 to 6.9 inches. And it's the same price as from last year, $1,199. Now, the bezels have even thinner than the 15, so they're getting really, really thin. And in the titanium model, it is made from what they consider, what they call it, grade 5 material. So it's supposed to be better than the standard titanium. All right, and the colors that you can get with this are black, white, natural, and desert, which I think some people have said it looks kind of like bronze, but they called it desert. Now, the performance on these phones also have improved. According to what they're saying, it's going to perform 20% better than the last year's model. You're going to have a much larger battery this time. And you do have obviously we have the action button, and we have the Pro chip. It does have this, instead of the first generation Nano, it's got the second generation Nano now. It's got 16 neural engines, 6-core CPU. And the cameras on this, it has the Fusion camera, which apparently it's supposed to take a much better picture. It does have the 48 megapixel. And apparently it's supposed to read the data 2 times faster than the last year's model. And there is no shutter lag. I guess those who know about taking photos, that's a very important feature. And the 5-time telephoto lens is now available on both the Pro and the Pro Max. Last year it was only available on the Pro Max. And taking videos, this is kind of interesting. It can take slow motion from 1 frame per second to 120 frames per second. So you can actually take a slow motion picture at 120 frames per second. That's pretty cool because I saw them doing that. And if you ever take pictures of your kids playing sports, that's a cool feature to have. It also comes with the 4 studio mics, so you're going to get a much better audio quality. It does do spatial audio recording, and it also offers audio mixing. And for those who are voice memo users, you're going to like this. It now supports up to 2 tracks, so that's a cool thing to have. And the final thing that we're going to talk about is MagSafe. Apparently, it's available in clear and silicon, and it's going to have a much faster charging time than the previous models. And you can get it either in 1 meter or 2 meters, and it also supports G charging. And I think those are the things that I from this big event. So, Brad, you want to open it up for so many questions or comments?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me. All right, let's open it up. Anybody? Any thoughts? Guys can unmute yourself. Steve, we're calling you. There's a lot of stuff there, Sree. You did a good job.
There was a lot. I'm sure I missed a few in here.
I am surprised. I had written off the AirPod Max. I mean, I love the AirPod Max. I use them every day. I have them on right now. I have wondered if their sales were just not what they had hoped, because it's been, God, 4 years since they came out? Something like that. When they come out, 2020, I think, December, something like that. I don't know. But man, it's been a long time. And now they've put the H2 chip in it. They've given it USB-C, and it's got some new colors. So they didn't say if the old colors were still available. They just said it's available in new colors. I'll have to look at that and see. I'm certainly not going to run out, buy more. The ones I got are doing me fine. But that's interesting. I know several people that have them and say, "Yeah, I got them. I just never use them." I mean, anyway,
one thing I would say out of listening, I was just going to say one thing, Brad. This is probably the first one that I listened to where I could say I'd be content getting a regular 16 versus the Pro. I thought there was more things came out of the 16 regular than on the Pro.
Well, what struck me was the Pro seems to be super high-end camera features. Seem to be the biggest thing on the Pro. The processor is the A18 Pro, and whereas the regular 16 is just the A18. You notice that one went from an A16 in the regular 15 to the regular 16, and they skipped the A17 series. I think they talked about that. But yeah, you're right. I don't know.
I saw more features come on the 16 regular than I saw on the Pro, like just feature-wise,
Well, all the features on the 16 are included in the 16 Pro.
Correct.
It's just that there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Like last year's 15 regular series to this year's 16 regular, I feel like we got a lot more features on the 16.
And the ability to use Apple Intelligence.
Let's
open it up to our participants. Anybody? I got a
This
comment,
is John.
question? Go ahead, John.
So I was listening to the Apple event, and I was also listening to Living Blindfully with Jonathan Mosen and the gang, and they were saying that for one of the models, apparently it uses 3 studio mics. Is that just the Pro models, or is that the regular ones too?
I think the regular. The Pro has 4.
I thought the Pro. That one I thought was the Pro. The microphones. Did it say it had 3, John? I can't remember.
Yeah, 3 studio microphones.
I think that's
okay.
the
Well,
Pro.
then I miswrote when they said that.
But the microphones in the regular are probably very good too. But yes, it's got the microphone thing. Better studio microphone. Yeah, that's a good call, John.
Do we know how much is on the regular one, like the last year's, the 15s?
I think it's got two, one near
Two?
the earpiece and one near the bottom of the phone.
Bottom. Mm-hmm.
Any of these devices make you want to run out and get it, John?
Well, I'm looking at getting the 16 Pro Max.
The 15 or 16 Pro Max?
16.
16, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you have now?
I have the 14 Pro Max.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah, for
that's a
him,
big
if
phone.
he needs Apple Intelligence, he needs something newer. So
That is true. Yeah, and if you the 14s won't do it. The 15 Pro and Pro Max will, but anything below that won't. Very good. Well, thank you, John.
This is Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
I just got bumped off on my Wi-Fi connection. Sorry. Did John mention the dual track recording on voice memos?
I mentioned
Yeah,
it.
I heard that.
Yeah, just
Sounds
to
like
elaborate
what the
on that.
H1E recorder does.
Yeah, but it's actually a layering effect where you can actually,
Correct.
and they gave an example of a guitarist. You can lay down your
Correct.
guitar track and then come back later and sing on top of it, or
Correct.
put up to two layers. But it's not actual side by side two tracks. It's
No, it's a layer.
layering.
It's on top
Yeah.
of. You can record, say,
Karaoke.
There you go.
Yeah,
Or some
all our
music,
karaoke
then you
singers
come
out
back
there.
later and sing on top of it, and then I would presume you could come back later and even add another layer.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
So
That is something that was in. I now noticed that was in that those Zoom H1 Essential recorder
Yeah,
does that,
exactly.
which is pretty
So-
neat. Jonathan Mosen did a demo of that in his
Yep.
overview of it. But anyway, yeah, that's a really neat feature. And when they were talking about that, I kind of wondered why Apple hadn't had that before.
Yeah, me
Maybe
too.
they saw that Zoom did it in the H1 and decided, wait a minute, we got to do this. We can't be beat.
Well, I'm
We
pretty
can
sure you
easily-
could do it all along for years now on the backtrack or the back whatever that app is. What's it called? Back tap or
no,
not back tap. Used to be Boss
GarageBand?
Jock. Used to be the Boss Jock Studio app.
Oh,
and then
okay,
they
yeah,
changed
yeah,
the
okay.
name. But you
Jake,
could
it's called
do that.
Backpack
That's not an Apple
Studio.
app.
Back tap Studio. You got
Yeah,
it, Jake.
That's
Backpack
it.
Studio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
I have always heard, I hear all the time people who want to lay down a voice on top of a karaoke track, and this would be the way to do it.
Right.
N-
That would be the way to do it. You
No,
import the track and do it.
in the
Who-
example, didn't they have like she was singing and a guitar, and then when they finalized it, the guitar was taken out?
Well, this is Brad. What they said was you can record yourself playing the guitar, for example. Then when you want to sing, you can actually play the track and have it come out through the iPhone's speaker.
Mhm.
So you can hear it. You don't need headphones.
Right.
And you can sing, and the iPhone's processing is going to cancel out what is being played through the speakers, so that doesn't get recorded. I can't remember if they said it's filtered out as it's recorded or it's removed after. Either way, it's the magic of Apple. You can play it, listen to it, and you don't have to have headphones.
Yeah.
Okay, so I misspoke. There's no two tracks then. It's just a single track.
It is you're overlaying on top of it, and
I think you can end up with a recording with both of those sound sources.
yeah, my
You don't
guess
have
is
you
it
don't have to
actually
take out the
is.
guitar, right?
Yeah, my guess. Well, it's that it's not being recorded in the vocal track,
Okay.
so it doesn't. There's like a cancellation effect. I don't know what the right term is. Anyway, yeah, that was.
This is Jerry from Vermont. I may
Yes,
have missed
Jerry.
something, but I was curious about a couple things. I understood that the Apple Watch was the less expensive one does not have cell support. Is that correct?
It
think all
does. I
watches come
looked
with
at
cell
it in
service.
the Apple Store app today, and it's just like always. The aluminum model can be GPS or GPS plus cellular.
Okay. That's so
Yeah, that's
that
always been the
believe it's
case, right?
It has been the case since the very beginning.
Yeah.
What they did, though, is what used to be the stainless steel watch used to be available in GPS or GPS plus cellular, but for the past several years, it's only been available in GPS plus cellular. And now that one is now no more stainless steel. It is titanium.
Yeah.
No,
Which is
and that
interesting.
is available in GPS plus cellular.
Yep.
The aluminum one, not the titanium.
Oh, really?
I haven't. Well, let me take that back. The stainless steel was not available in GPS only. It was GPS plus cellular.
Right.
I would
But
assume
I think the
it's that
titanium
way
is going
for
to be
the
available.
titanium. You think the titanium is what?
I think the titanium is going to have GPS and cellular.
Plus, yeah, it's going to be. I believe it's just replaced the titanium material is replacing the stainless steel material, but it still have the aluminum case, and now instead of stainless steel, it's titanium. But I think the options for those, and then of course there's the Apple Watch Ultra, which is also made of titanium. You know, and they mentioned the new color, but other than that, that watch is unchanged.
Yeah, the satin black, was it?
Satin black is what that got. Yeah.
No, last year the titanium.
Hey, hang on, guys, one at a time.
Wasn't this is Sree? Wasn't last year's stainless steel only like $200 difference from that and the Ultra?
It was less than that. I think it was like 100.
Okay, so it's
it wasn't much.
I'm gonna guess maybe
Wasn't
titanium's
much.
gonna be around there.
I would imagine. I haven't looked at the prices of them. I did look, and the aluminum starts at $399 for what is now the 42-inch, which is interesting. When the Apple Watch first came out, the case sizes were 38 and 42. Now the small size is the size of the big one, but I'm really wondering, is the case, that small one, the case size hasn't changed. It's just the screen. They kept making the bezel smaller, and it wrapped around the edge, and the overall size of the watch was the same. It's the screen size that went from 38 to 40, then to 41. Now it's 42. And my guess is the case isn't much different. Is it, Now I had heard a rumor that these new watches, the Apple Series 10, would not use the bands from the earlier, App Series 9 and earlier. You had the large case, the small case, but they still used the same bands as they did when the watch was first introduced.
Yeah, they call it
a
back fit or something like that.
Call it a what?
A back fit or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. They never changed. They used the same thighs.
Right.
They didn't mention any of that today, and I haven't.
That was interesting too.
Seen an article. I briefly looked through. I didn't read them all, but the articles in Apple Insider just to see, and I didn't see anything mentioning that.
Yeah, there's certain things they didn't mention a lot about, like the SC. They just kind of flew through it.
Well, the SE's unchanged.
Yeah,
it's just not changed. They didn't talk about it. It doesn't get a whole lot of updating.
The 15s is that, the 16s is that really?
Who is it? Who is this? I'm sorry, we haven't been real good about saying names. Who's this?
This is Jerry.
Yes, Jerry, go ahead, please.
Is the pricing of the 16 really astronomical? Does anyone?
The iPhone 16?
Yeah.
It's unchanged from what it was before. I had heard rumors that the iPhone 16 starts at $799. That's what it did before.
Okay. And what's the Pro?
I had heard rumors that the Pros were going to go up in price, but they are not.
Still $999.
Still starts at $999 for the Pro and $1199 for the Pro Max, which is what they have been for the past several years.
Okay.
Unchanged.
And they all start at
pricing,
128 gigs.
Yes, 128, 256, 512, and 1 terabyte. And the pricing on the upgrades is the same.
The Pros start at 256.
Huh? Say it again.
The Pros start at 256.
Is that what they do?
That's what they did last year.
Okay.
So I bought the
That's probably
regular
what it
Pro Max and it came with 256. I didn't have to upgrade it.
Okay, I think I looked at one today and I thought it started at 128.
I thought I
But
heard
you're
that
right.
too.
Yeah, I looked at it today because when I was like pricing one out to see what it might cost me to do it,
Well, then the price went up.
512, which is what I currently have, was the third level. So
Well, if they
and-
went down to 128, then the price went up.
well, no, because my price for a 512 is exactly what I paid for my 15 and my 14 before that. But I'll tell you what, I was disappointed at what they would offer me for my 15 Pro. They were offering $520, and they made it sound like they were going to be offering a lot more.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter what your level of storage is. You get the.
This is Jake.
Yeah, Jake, go ahead.
I was pricing it out too, and I priced out a trade in today. They were given the trade in level was $649.
For which
For
model
which
do you have?
one?
iPhone 15 Pro Max 256 bit.
Yeah. The Pro Max would make sure it makes sense. It'd be more than my Pro. Yeah, that's interesting. Because I heard them say up to 1,000, but I think that's deals
This is
on
Kenny.
carriers. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're right. They said 1,000 on carriers, and I thought they said up to 800 with Apple.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
And one thing y'all haven't touched on, I wanted to ask about I'm going to get this term wrong. I thought they said Magic Clean, Apple Clean. It's about the photos where you could take a photo and I guess remove an object or something like that. Do y'all remember anything about that?
It's a Sree.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't mention that, but yeah, if you take a picture and let's say, for example, I took a picture of, Brad and Pete, and there's a bird on the back, you can kind of actually remove the bird from the picture. So you can kind of blur things out, and it does, from what I've heard from people that are using it, it does work to some aspect. Like if someone took a picture of two people together and they took one person out, you can kind of see, like when the hands were touching each other, you could kind of tell there was some kind of blemish occurring when they took the picture out.
Yeah.
Not that I would, take a picture of Pete and Brad and take
Brad
them
and
out.
Pete
But...
in the first place. Yeah.
But
save yourself some steps, sir.
Exactly.
But I know a lot of photographers are liking that feature because they can take things that make the picture kind of look not needed out.
Well, this is Pete. They mentioned a ton of different video features, and it's like almost movie quality controls. They talked about all the photo controls. Really impressive.
Yeah, it is impressive what they're able to do.
The video of slow motion to 120 frames per second is really cool.
Yeah, they said that was like 1/4 speed or something like that. As low as 1/4, and then they had a half speed that was different as far as your photo slow-mo.
Yeah.
This is Jerry from Vermont again. When
Go
are all
ahead,
these
Jerry.
things hitting the stores?
Say it again.
When are all these things hitting the stores? October?
The 20th. They open up for pre-ordering on this Friday, the 13th. Although you can go to the app right now and do what they call get ready to pre-order. You can go through and, pick everything you want, and then you hit a button that like saves it. So you can come back this Friday, the 13th at 7 a.m. Central Time, 5 a.m. Pacific. And that's when ordering begins. And then they're available in the stores, and your pre-order will be delivered beginning the following Friday, September 20th.
Okay.
And they said right now you can go online and not get ready to pre-order, but pre-order the watches and the new AirPods 14, both the base level and the active noise canceling version. You can pre-order those today, and they are also to be delivered or available in the stores on the same September 20th date.
Where would you do your pre-orders? In the Apple Store
In
app?
either the Apple Store app or online at apple.com.
Apple.com.
Now, do you think the AirPod 4 with noise cancellation for $178, you think that's a good deal? Because I know you can get the Pro 2 on sale for like $199.
It depends on where I don't know. Depends on what you want. I find I have the AirPods 3 and I have the AirPods Pro, and I find I use them differently. But I don't know now that the AirPods 4 are going to have both ANC and improved sound with an H2 chip. They claim the AirPods Pro are the '1 sellers, and I can see why they would be, because they had features that weren't in. But that's a good question now that ANC and some of those other features that were Pro only are in the AirPods 4.
Mm-hmm.
And
Listen,
then for
Jake.
people that just want a regular AirPods, that entry level at $139 is also a very good deal. Go ahead, Jake.
I have the AirPods Pro, and I used to be able to use the AirPods 3 until they broke. They just quit working on me. And I bought the AirPods Pro when they're on sale. And I do believe that the AirPods Pro do sound better. They have better audio quality.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I actually like them. But I don't know if I would get the AirPods Pro 2 yet.
Oh, you have the original AirPods Pro. Okay.
I have the AirPods Pro 2. Or whatever the latest AirPods Pro are. Isn't that what they are?
Yeah.
Yes, they came out with those 2 years ago.
Yeah. So I've had the AirPods Pro 2, the latest generation.
Mm-hmm.
And they sound better than the AirPods 3.
Yeah. Well, they're different. You're right. They are different.
Do they?
But I don't know if I'd get the AirPods Pro 4 yet.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, nobody does yet. They just came out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead, Pete.
Would the AirPods, the new AirPods, have the same kind of tip fit, the soft rubber?
I don't know. That's
tip?
a good question.
I don't think they mentioned that.
They did not mention that. My guess is they don't.
Because I got the original AirPods and they fell right out of my ears.
I got used to them. I'm better off
plastic.
with them now than I used to be, but I didn't like them when I first got them. But I'm used to them. And actually, I think my AirPods 3 fit my ears better than the AirPods 1 or the AirPods 2 that were identical. I think there's something different about the 3s. They fit better, and I like the fact that stem isn't as long. I think that would get bumped and make them fall out.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, the AirPods Pro with the silicone tips, and they have 4 different so you can get the one that fits you best, and those are very secure. But I'm still scared to take them with me on an airplane, because if it falls out, what am I going to do? Get out on my hands and knees and crawl around trying to find it? I don't think so.
Ask the flight attendant to do it for you.
Yeah, that'd be something, wouldn't it? Exactly. Anyway, okay, who hadn't had a chance to go has got a question or comment?
This is Desi.
Yes, Des.
Going back to the new voice memos features, if you were to sit down and play your guitar and sing at the same time, could you then lay another track over that?
Sounds like it.
I bet you could.
Yeah, that sounds like
that's
it.
what I was thinking. Yeah.
And
that's
I'm wondering
awesome.
if you can, and how many layers you can put down. I know that those Zoom One Essential Recorder, Jonathan Mosen did a demo where he did 3 layers, and I wonder if there's a limit.
Well,
so I'm wondering if
This
it's
is
the
Herbie.
same thing on this voice memos layering.
Go ahead, Herbie.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it sounds like that, yes, Desi, so like, probably the optimal thing if you want to play, even if you just want to play a guitar track and then you want to sing over that guitar track, and it sounds like that you can play the track without needing headphones, so.
Right, but my idea was that if you could play your own guitar track while you're singing,
Right.
And you could come back in and you could do harmony, which would be pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I don't see why
that
you
would be
couldn't.
the first track, and then the
Or,
harmony
or
would
if
be the
Desi, if you're
second.
gonna throw in an electric guitar solo, that's really gonna make us rock out in the middle
Sure.
of your
Yeah.
folk
Yeah.
song,
Or rock
no
that
elec-
sax.
Yeah, no electric guitar for me. I'm
But
acoustic
certainly
all the way,
harmonies.
baby.
Yeah, I would think you could
Or
do that.
bongos.
Yeah.
Bongos. Yeah.
I had a couple. This is Herbie. I did have a couple things regarding AirPods, real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So one, first of all, this is painful to say, but Brad, yes, you were correct that the AirPods 3 are a little bit smaller than the original AirPods. And so
the part where it goes in your ear?
In your ear, yes.
Okay, I was just thinking the stem. Actually, I felt they're a little larger because they seem to fit better.
I know they were designed differently
Yeah,
to
they're
fit
different.
the ear better. Also, I don't know if there was anything visually that came up, but and if this is talked about before I got on the call, I do apologize, but with the AirPods Max, the only difference I noticed with them was with the USB-C port
They
and
also
nothing
have now
else
the
other than
H2
the
chip.
colors.
The H2 chip, whereas the originals have H1.
Okay, so they do.
So
I
they'll
didn't hear
have
them
better
mention that, so
sound.
that's good.
And the colors and the USB-C.
All right.
Gonna run
And
out
then
buy some?
finally, just one difference that I think will be between the Pro and the regular AirPod and the AirPods 4. The AirPods 4 has the active listening and all that, but I don't think they have the noise canceling and all that, or the hearing
AirPods-
test.
You mean
Then the
you mean
AirPods 4.
They do have noise
You mean the
cancellation.
thing where that they keep talking about where you're listening to music and you start talking to somebody that it automatically lowers the volume.
It has that. What I'm talking about is actual
It
noise.
does.
So
I
you know
didn't
how
know it
with the
had that.
AirPods Pro you can cycle between noise cancellation or transparent hearing.
I
think you can.
You could do that on the 4. I would imagine. Be
Yeah.
able to turn
Okay.
A and C on or off. And they didn't mention transparency, but I would think you could. I'd be
Okay.
shocked if you couldn't. Because having the
Right.
little microphones in the outside of the AirPods is what makes noise canceling work.
Right.
So I'd be surprised if they didn't have transparency mode. I don't believe they have the thing where you walk up and the music will lower its volume when you start talking to somebody. I think that's
Right.
just a pro feature, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I think I'm going to be working on upgrading my AirPods Max this year, and the other ones can wait.
Oh
'cause
yeah,
I'm happy.
didn't you get the originals?
I did get the originals, yes.
Do you ever use them?
Oh yeah, I use them all the time.
Okay, I was going to say
AirPods
I know
Max.
several people. Some of them are on this call who have
We won't
them and
mention
say
names,
they
right?
just never use them.
Oh no, I use my AirPods Max on a daily basis. I use them interchangeably between my device that shall not be named on here because we're not allowed to talk about them, and my iPhone. Probably more my iPhone than the M device, but I right now in fact I'm on them right now. So
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get new ones. But I'm very if something happened to these, I'd immediately replace them though.
You
there's
got
a
the
couple
AirPods
things
Max?
that
Yes.
there's a couple of reasons why I'd like now that they have the H2 chip. Like for instance, when one big difference between the Max versus the AirPods Pro is when Siri reads a text message. On the AirPods Pro, she just silences what you're listening to, ducks the audio, whereas on the Max, she completely pauses the audio.
That's we talked about that. I would think that's operating system.
This is Pete.
I don't know. Yeah, real quick, and then we're almost at the top of the hour.
Now the AirPods Max are the cans, right? The over the
Yes,
the ear.
around it. Yes, full
And
size.
they are the best AirPods. I know they're expensive, and people give them a lot of crap for how they look, but believe me, they are worth
They
the
are,
pennies
But
you'll
they
pay
are
for
not
them.
AirPods per se, like in the
no,
ear.
they're
over-
headphones. They just
full,
call them
full blown, and they're
yes.
rather heavy, right?
They're
They're a
heavy. You
bit
don't really
heavy.
notice when they're on, but they're heavy.
Yeah. Well, I wear a pair of
Anyway.
heavy Sony's now, and so I'm thinking about replacing them with the Max.
Well, these are a good choice. Very good
Yeah.
choice.
Good.
Okay, folks. I hate to cut it off, but we are at the dead on top of the hour. So, first thing I'd like to do, is give a chance. Anyone who wasn't here when we went around the room and introduced ourselves, let's give everybody a chance if you missed that to go
This is
around
Herbie in Houston.
and let's do that.
This is Desi in Franklin, Tennessee.
Welcome, Desi.
Herbie in Houston.
Herbie, welcome.
Kathy in Tulsa.
Welcome, Kathy.
Terry in Arlington Heights.
Welcome, Terry.
Ed in Georgetown, Ontario.
Well,
Roy in Fort Worth.
welcome, Roy.
Howdy.
Hi, Vanessa, Georgia.
Welcome, Vanessa.
Paul Santonio.
Welcome, Paul. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. I think it's time to move on to what we're really here for. The big reveal and those movie clues. Now, I don't know. I believe Michael is still off on vacation somewhere, or so he claims. So maybe we have the fake Michael McCullough with us, or I don't know. Who do we have out there tonight?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, he's here.
Despite the fact that I was told in no uncertain terms to ever show my voice again in this group, sometimes desperate times calls for desperate pleasures, or something like that. So before the cops come and take me away, I'm going to turn things over to my partner in crime, Mr. Stephen Michael McCullough Kerr, to give you the clues while I go back into hiding. Well, thank you, Michael. You know, as always, you're a tough act to follow. I never know how to do this, but we're going to, I used to get paid to do this sort of thing. So no pressure, no pressure. Good evening, everyone. I am glad to be here. It was a lot of great information there with the Apple event today, although I didn't catch the beginning of it. So I know, though, that the real reason you're here is for the movie clues, despite the fact that the Michael McCullough impersonator, we really need to hire some armed guards or something to keep him away from here. But I digress. So let us get to the clues. But before we do, though, of course, let me run down the rules. The usual guidelines apply as they do during the rest of the call. Need to state your name, wait to be recognized. Don't just yell out the clue or the answer. Only one guess per clue, and those who've won within the last 3 weeks are not eligible to win. So I hear. All right. Here we go. Clue number 1. Our film this week takes place in my home state of Texas in the 1980s and is adapted from the nonfiction book of the same name. The film takes place in Texas in the 80s and is adapted from the nonfiction book of the same name. Anybody have a guess?
Kathy,
Kathy, go ahead.
is it Terms of Endearment?
Terms of Endearment? Oh my goodness, that's a good guess, but it is not the answer, Kathy, but nice try. Try again on the next. All right, who's next?
Kenny?
Kenny, go ahead.
I'll pick Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Ooh, that is a good guess. But no, it's not the right answer, Kenny. Good try, though. All right, another guess. Who's next?
This is Sree.
Go ahead, Sree.
Is it Mud?
Mud. Mud is, I like to play in the mud, but mud is not the right answer. Nice try, Sree. All right, we'll take one more guess, and then we'll go to clue number 2. Who's got a guess?
This is Greg.
Hey, Greg, go ahead.
Is it Friday Night Lights?
Friday Night Lights. Well, it's Monday night, but you know what? Hold on. Let me just make sure. Just a second. Friday Night Lights. is ding, 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 ding. The
Woo!
answer,
Greg. Nailed
on the
it.
first clue is a winner,
Wow,
winner.
that is awesome.
It is awesome.
I should get a really big prize.
You should get a big. You know what, Greg? Hold on, let me look. Johnny is not here, so I get to act as the announcer of the prize. Your
Johnny, what do
prize
we have
today,
prize?
Greg, is. The suspense is killing us. You get the first oil derrick built in Odessa, Greg. You can't get better than that.
That
I
is
mean,
big.
really, the first oil derrick built in Odessa, because of course that is where the setting of the movie is. And a lot of great stars were in there. Tim McGraw is in that movie. Billy Bob Thornton is in that movie. A fun fact, my wife is from Odessa. And she and her sister went to Permian, and her sister was a cheerleader around the time that the book came out. In fact, her picture is in there. So I'm married to somebody whose sister is famous.
Cool.
And my wife's famous too because her dad was a judge. So,
Stephen, is it a true story?
It is. Well, it depends on who you ask. The book was based on the Odessa Permian football team.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
And apparently, I worked at a radio station that interviewed Buzz Bissinger, the author of the book, and apparently, they let him in and gave him all this access to information, thinking he was going to write a nice little fluffy piece about Odessa high school football.
Yeah.
And of course, he ended up writing about the way the culture really is. So,
I didn't like that.
although if you ask my sister-in-law, she says that book is definitely not. It's slanted toward a lot of untruth. So
Did
it depends
their
on who
team
you
win the
ask.
state championship?
Yeah, they did, but not the year that the book was based
Okay.
on.
So close.
They came 1 yard short. 1 yard short. So
Looks more about the culture of
It
high school
is.
football in Texas. So it's kind of a what would you call it? A composite of a
expose.
lot of things.
Composite.
around the state.
Composite. Yeah. And there, of course, was a TV series that came out after the movie.
Yeah, it was
that
really good.
Based on, it wasn't real, but it was based on that movie in the book.
Yeah. It was a good series.
So
Good
there
movie,
you have
too.
it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
A nice, short, sweet movie clue
2
segment.
weeks
Thank you,
in
Greg.
a row, the first question.
Wow.
You can recycle all those questions.
You actually could.
Right. Yeah.
You actually could. Well,
I don't think Michael would have had both of those things in one clue.
you're probably right. And I didn't write these clues, so
No.
I can't take credit for it.
They came in a hermetically sealed mason jar, and
Yeah.
Stephen's not
Yeah,
responsible for the contents of the jar.
That's
yeah,
right.
There will actually be, a certain color dye that sprays out at me if I open it. So I
That's
don't want
right.
to, I don't want my face to change color or anything, so I don't dare.
I thought it was a great clue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
Of course you did, Greg.
Of course you did, Greg. Yeah.
What?
All right.
All right.
Well, thank
Good
you,
job, Stephen.
Michael.
You are most
Stephen
welcome.
McCulloch.
Thank
Kerr.
you.
Huh?
I appreciate it as always.
This is
It's always good to
Terry.
talk to you guys.
Yeah, Terry.
This
go ahead
is
real
Terry.
quick.
What was the name of the movie again?
Friday Night Lights.
Friday Night Light. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now I can start my homework.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
Trivia.
You can read the book before the movie on Friday.
That's probably not going to happen. But
On Bard, yeah.
is
All
there
right.
a
Bard.
Cliff Note version?
There might be.
Probably.
That's the
Download
only
on
way
Bard
it
and
would
put it on
happen.
3X, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
You know how to
Okay.
read all that stuff. All right, folks. Well, thank you,
Thanks.
Stephen. You can
Thank you,
go
guys.
back into
It's a
hiding
pleasure.
now.
Well, it's the impersonator that's, that they're after, not me, thank goodness.
Yeah, well, both of you.
Both of us. Good night, Mr. McCulloch.
Good
All
night.
right.
Good night.
Bye. All right. We are now muted, as Sandy always loves that. When she mutes it, makes it so you can't unmute. It's time now for the other thing everybody is really here for, the Buzz Bite segment. No, I know, I'm only kidding. I know you don't care about it, but we're going to do it anyway. Not only that, but it's a live Buzz Bite segment. So here we go. Lots of us use Do Not Disturb. We turn it on when we do not want to be disturbed. We're in a meeting, in church, whatever we are, sleeping at night, but we don't want to be disturbed with the phone ringing or notifications or things like that. But one of the big problems is remembering to turn it off. Now, you can ask Siri to turn it on. You might even be able to ask Siri to turn on Do Not Disturb for 1 hour, and that might work too. But there are some other controls in here that can help you manage when you turn Do Not Disturb off in advance. And we're going to take a look at those right here. So let me see here.
2012.
I'm opening up my trusty iPhone 15 Pro. And
iOS Extras folder, 25 apps.
We are on the home screen. Not that it
Home.
matters. I'm going to go to the home screen. Hopefully y'all can hear that okay. So where we want to go on here now is I'm going to go to the control center. I get to the control center. Well, there's two different gestures. I like the good old tried and true. First thing I'm going to do is put my finger on the status bar.
WBSJR Wi-Fi, 3 of 3 Wi-Fi bars.
It tells you my Wi-Fi. And I am now going to do a 3-finger swipe up from the bottom.
Control center, airplane mode, switch button, off.
Okay, I'm now
Actions
in the
available.
control center. Now what I'm looking for in here is this button. If I'm
Focus button.
a button
Actions
that
available.
says focus, and you heard it say actions available. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swipe up.
Open controls.
And if I swipe up again,
Activate, default.
and swipe up again.
Open controls.
So you got two choices. Activate, which means do your 1-finger double tap, or focus, what's it say?
Activate, open controls.
Open controls. I'm going to do now a 1-finger double tap.
Do not disturb button.
I have
Actions
opened
available.
some controls. So
Work, get things done button. Personal, turn off work. Focus on
there are
you
a couple
button.
of focuses
Actions available.
there.
Personal, turn off work. Focus on settings button. Actions
Okay.
available.
I get settings, which opens focus or do not disturb settings, actually. Now, I've got several things in here. I'm going to go up to the top.
For 1 hour button. Do not disturb button.
Okay, if
Actions
I tap
available.
on do not disturb, it's just going to turn it on. When I swipe left to right, I'm going to go down this list.
For 1 hour button.
There
Actions
it is.
available.
I can turn it on for 1 hour. Okay.
Until tomorrow morning button.
I can
Actions
turn
available.
it on until tomorrow morning. I don't know what it determines tomorrow morning. Is that 7 a.m.? I'm not sure. I'm going to assume that's what it is. One more.
Until I leave this location. Home button.
Until I leave
Actions
this
available.
location. Now it says home. It knows I am at home. You may find that if you were someplace else, like say at church, it may not know you're at church, but it's going to recognize the address. So you could tell it to turn on do not disturb, and then as soon as you leave the location in a vehicle or walk away, or as soon as your GPS proximity realizes you have left that location, it will automatically turn off do not disturb, and that could be handy for lots of situations. And then here is this other one.
Until the end of the next event. 2020 to 2130 Buzz Bite demo button.
I
Actions
put
available.
a calendar event in my calendar just for this demo. It's called Buzz Bite Demo. And it is set to run, I don't know what time it is now, but I just picked something that I knew would be around, I set it for 8:20 p.m. Central and gave it an hour, something like that. What this will do is if I have a calendar event, a meeting, a haircut, something like that, and I want to put my phone in do not disturb, it will stay in do not disturb for the length of that event. In this case, it is for this this calendar event that I made. There you go. It dimmed on me.
Personal. Turn off work. Focus on you. Settings. Until the end of the next event. 2020 to 2130 bus bike demo. Button.
Now, what
Actions
time is it
available.
now? I can't get it. It won't show me. But anyway, this becomes available 15 minutes before this event. So I set it at 8:20. Anytime at beginning at 8:05, 15 minutes before the start of this event. So I can hit this now.
Selected. Until the end of the next event. 2020 to 2130 bus bike demo.
And it is now on Do Not Disturb. So
personal. Turn off work. Focus. Settings. Button. App selected. Until the end of the next event. 2020 to 2130 bus bike demo. Button.
So those are some
actions
of the
available.
choices that you can use. So now if I leave here, let's see. I had to swipe up from the bottom, just like, going to the home screen, and it closed that menu, and I'm still in the control center.
Selected. Focus. Do not disturb. Flashlight. Switch
So I
button.
have to
Off.
do that again.
Actions available.
Finger up from the bottom and swipe up. Or if I'm using the iPhone SE with a home button, I would push the home button once. So now I would either push that home button a second time or do a one finger swipe up to that first
Flip for home.
And now
Calendar.
I closed
Monday, September 9.
Control Center. And I think it will tell me
100% battery. WBSJR with cellular. 4 of 4 bar. Dynamic Island. Empty. 2017. 2017.
No, it's not telling me.
Dynamic Island. Cellular. 4 of 4 bars.
Just tell me in the
Ambition Assistant.
the Do Not Disturb is on, but it is on. And I think I set that event to be from 8:20 to 9:20 p.m. So it will stay on Do Not Disturb until 9:20. So that's my demo. A couple of ways to manage when you would like your Do Not Disturb to turn itself off automatically. And now let's go over here. Okay, now you guys can unmute and tell me what a great demo that was.
This is Pete. What a great demo that was, Brad.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Flattery will get you everywhere.
This is Nikki.
Yes, Nikki, go ahead.
That was a terrific demo.
Thank you.
Brad.
Okay, all you guys are already on the payroll.
This is Ed.
Thank you
He
very
beat me
much.
to it.
This
Let's
is
go to
Ed.
Ed. And you better not tell me what a great demo is.
That's the best demo I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Man.
Okay,
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Careful what you wish for. You might get it. All righty. Seriously.
Does he
Anybody have any
this is
questions about
Jerry.
that?
Did you have a kickback coming for that? The best thing? That's crazy.
Yeah, I should, but anyway. Thank you.
So Pete, this is Pete with a question.
Yes, sir.
By the way, good demo. But
Yeah, we covered that.
so your next event thing, will that automatically turn it off at 8:05?
No, I had to open up the control center, go to focus, and flick up. And then my next calendar event will show up. It showed there was at the top, my choices were just turn on Do Not Disturb, turn it on for 1 hour, turn it on until tomorrow morning. Then there was the geofence one, turn it off when I leave this location.
Right.
Turn it on until I, leave. Right now it knows I'm at home. So
Yeah.
once I leave home and get, I don't know, 100 yards down the street or whatever the geofence does, it'll then automatically turn it off. And then the bottom of the list was, turn it off at the end of the next calendar event.
So it will automatically turn it off at 9:20.
Yeah, because I know that I set that event for 8:20 p.m.
Okay.
to 9:20
All right.
p.m. So if I turn it on, even if the event has already started and that event becomes available 15 minutes before the scheduled time for that event,
Right.
It'll automatically turn itself off when the calendar event is over.
Is over, right? So you've already set the event. That's when the automatic kicks in. It will automatically.
No, I have to.
go
It
that.
doesn't automatically turn on. It would be nice if in the calendar, when you make the event, there was an option, just like there's all those options when
Yeah.
you create a calendar event. It'd be nice if one of them was turn on Do Not Disturb while this event is in progress or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
But
that's what
that
I
isn't.
did.
You have to open Control Center up, go to focus, flick up to more options or whatever it said,
go to the next event and then trigger it.
And then it's at the bottom of those lists of choices for how long you want, and it says, turn on do not until the end of the next event and next calendar event.
Right, but you had to manually go in there and click that.
I had to manually go in. So like if I go to my haircut, I don't want my phone ringing, so I have to stop before I go in the haircut place and turn that on. It would be, I could probably also with the haircut place use
the geofence
when I leave mute until I leave this location, something like that. But and then you can always open that up and just turn it off, at any time. You get finished, you're not done yet. You haven't left the location yet, you haven't left your church building yet or whatever.
Right.
You can always turn it off. The good news is it keeps it, do not disturb is turned on, but if you forget to turn it off, it's going to turn off do not disturb, and you're not going to be like some people I know who turn it on and never turn it off, and you can never call them or they never see your text. You know who you are, Pete. So,
okay.
Anyway,
Brian.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Just like if you have a recurring calendar event, would that work for all of them, or?
Well, again, it's going to show up in the calendar beginning 15 minutes before the event, but you still have to go into Control Center, go to Focus, open up those more options, and you have to manually turn it on. You may be able to create a focus. I'm not real big at using focus, the focus settings, but you could, and I don't know if, from what I have messed with focus, there's lots of ways that you can trigger it, but I have not seen that you could trigger it with a calendar event. You can trigger it when you use an app. You can trigger it for a location. You can trigger it at a time, but I have not seen that you could trigger it when there is a calendar event.
Okay, makes sense.
This is Greg.
I wish it would.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, the geofencing I know it'll recognize places that you're frequently at, like work or home. Does it have to be an address that's in your contact list, or just any place?
It just works any place. I mean, on my haircut plate. Well, the address isn't saved. The phone number is saved, but the address is not saved. It'll just work. I don't know that it works everywhere, but it does know where you are. Does it have the correct address? Does it think you're next door? I don't, if you're in a store or something like that. But I would say the more you go there, the more it's going to learn. But no, it does not have to be in your contacts. Anybody
this
else?
is Jerry from Vermont.
Go ahead, Jerry.
If you were in a mall, and say your haircut place was in a mall, and you
In a
left
what?
that in a mall, like a
Yeah,
shopping
mall.
mall.
Yeah. I don't know. Malls are pretty big, so it's hard to say what it would do. It probably would just get the location for the whole mall.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But once you get out wandering around and leave the actual haircut place and you're wandering around in the mall, it may or may not turn itself off. Probably won't. I would think
I was thinking that
you're going to have
too.
to leave the mall, but
Okay. Thanks.
when I would go to church, church is pretty big. It catches the street address of the church. So once I'm in the car driving away, it automatically turns itself off. Oh, anybody else? Okay, hearing none. I'll say thank you for listening to that great demo. And let's go back to our regularly scheduled buzz routine. Again, we kind of spent the first hour talking about the Apple event today. We can continue with more questions about that, or we can do our usual. If you have questions about your iOS device, hardware, software, peripherals, anything that we usually talk about in here, where it's all fair game for the remainder of this hour. So,
Cynthia,
Cynthia,
nice presentation, and maybe you could talk to
thank you very
Apple.
much. Your check is in the mail.
Maybe Apple will do that for you.
Yeah, probably not. But anyway.
I have a different question.
Okay.
The iPad AirDrop, does that have Siri?
iPad AirDrop. You mean iPad Air?
Oh yeah, iPad Air. Does that have
Okay.
Siri?
Who knows who's iPad users? Your iPad Air, other iPads, they have
This is
Siri on
Desi.
them. Desi, yes.
Yes, it does. You can have Siri on your iPad Air or otherwise.
Very good.
Cynthia, so you just turn it on?
Yeah, if your iPad is, this is Desi. If your iPad is the only device that you have, otherwise, I think if you have an iPhone and an iPad, for instance, wouldn't they sync up, guys?
I think the iPad's got to be it's connected to
Connected.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
It'll do it on its own through Wi-Fi, and
Yeah, so it's not that you have to set it up necessarily. Now,
No.
if you want Siri to do certain things, if you want to choose some of the options that Siri usually is able to do, you need to go into settings and look under Siri and search and fix those. But otherwise, if you have Siri on a device already and you hook your iPad up to Wi-Fi, those things should sync over to your iPad Air.
I think there's some things Siri does on device, and some things it has to reach out to a Siri server or something like that, whereas it needs Wi-Fi or cellular or something. But to ask it to open an app, that's usually an on-device request, and it'll
Okay,
do that.
thank you. I'll have to check because I just got it and I asked it to talk to Siri, but I don't know if there's something I have to push. I do have an iPhone, but iPhone 15 Pro, but I don't know if this one's synced up to it. So I'll have to ask somebody.
This is Pete.
iPad. Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
I just wanted to put a plug in for one of Sree did a iBUG cafe yesterday, and he and I presented a new audio tutorial series for iPhone users, but a lot of it would apply to iPads as well. And one of the lessons, episode 3 or 4, I think, is dedicated to Siri. And if you check that out when the podcast is posted, either to the ibug.org website or YouTube or something like that, go look for the lesson on the episode on Siri, and he will walk you through it. It was a step-by-step process of going into your settings app, which of course your iPad does have, and you can go down to your Siri section, and he walks you step by step through how to set up the voice prompts, like, hey Siri, open such and such an app, or hey Siri, what time is it, or hey Siri, what's the weather. And there's a step-by-step process, so that might be a good resource for you.
Cynthia, thank you very much.
You can also trigger, this is Brad, you can also trigger Siri by holding down, like on an iPad, if it has the home button, you hold the home button down and it'll make a little sound, and you don't have to say, hey Siri, anything. You can just speak your command. Just like on an iPhone, you could do it by holding the side button.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Who's next?
This is John from Canada.
Go ahead, John.
Regarding the podcast, I actually saw it in Apple Podcast episode 112.
Correct. Yes, there's a podcast, I believe, called iBUG Cafe. Just like there's one called the iBUG Buzz. And there's probably one called the iBUG Apple Workshop. We got several of them. Thank you, John.
This is Sree.
Go ahead, Sree.
I just want to say Julie did upload through all of our services. So I just want to say thank you to Julie for putting it up.
Julie is a machine, I'm telling you.
The bomb.
Gets those things taken care of. We'd be lost without her.
Julie's the bomb.
Yeah. All right.
This is David.
Who is next? Who's got our next question for us?
This is Marcia.
Go ahead, Marcia.
I've got a voice memo. I told a story to my daughter, and she's got an Android, and I did it on my voice memos.
Uh-huh.
It won't, if I send it to her, it won't go, will it? Because it needs a different.
Should. If you
Go ahead.
who can explain how to export a voice memo and send it to someone? No one?
This
You
is
should be
John
able to
from Canada.
export it as a, go ahead, John.
Yes. So, typically, I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's my understanding that when you go to it and you find the share option, then it brings up all the different ways you can share, whether it's email, text message, or if you just want to copy and paste the link wherever you want to send it.
It seems like I did.
Email's probably the best.
I did send
for
a
this.
past one to somebody else, and they couldn't get it. And they,
How did you send it?
I don't remember because it was about 6 months ago. So I'll just try to send it and see what happens. And if not, I'll be back with questions next
We'll
week.
do it as an email attachment. That's probably the best way.
Okay.
Because you don't have to worry. Sometimes they don't go, as a attachment to a text message. It may have a problem if it goes as a standard text message. But an email is guaranteed, and a voice memo is an M4A file, and that's pretty standard
that's
audio
one
file
of the
that can pretty much be played on anything.
Yeah.
This is Jerry from Vermont.
Yes, Jerry.
I have found that the other person has WhatsApp, seems to be able to transfer pretty easily with that, but I'm not sure everybody's got that,
Right. If you send a message through WhatsApp with a recording attached, it will probably go. It will go just like it goes with iMessage, but it may not go if you're sending it as a standard text message.
Okay.
So email is always a safe bet.
All right. Thank you,
you, Jerry. Thank you.
And I think it's everywhere. Everywhere I go, there's Brad.
Well, what can
You're
I
a
say?
busy guy.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Your
This is
check's
Jerry
in the
from
mail
Vermont.
also. Go ahead.
I have a different sort of question.
Okay.
I'm wondering how iPhones interact with pacemakers. Does anyone have any experience with that, or a way to?
What do you mean by interact? Like interfere with, or?
Yes.
I don't know why they would interfere.
This is Ed.
Go ahead, Ed. You got experience in this?
Well, I have a friend, Kimberly in Hamilton, that has a pacemaker, and she said she can't use Bluetooth because of her pacemaker.
The radio frequency messes with the pacemaker?
Apparently, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. I would think it depends on the pacemaker.
Now, I don't know if
yeah.
it's her pacemaker, but she's got one of those, what is it called, a defibrillator or something, where it'll kickstart your heart?
Yeah.
Right.
So it might be, it's one or the other, but it's the Bluetooth part.
Well, they're
that,
similar.
is
They're
the
similar.
issue. Yeah.
This is Sree.
Go ahead, Sree.
I know for my father, they told him not to get an iPhone, but the MagSafe because of the magnet. And if he's putting the phone by his chest, they said it's probably not a good idea.
Right. That makes sense.
This is Nikki.
Go ahead, Nikki.
As far as I know, there's a difference between a pacemaker and a defibrillator. They use a defibrillator to restart your heart. The pacemaker goes in your body. And years ago, I had a friend who had a pacemaker, and she was able to use her cell phone, but she did not have earphones, so she didn't use Bluetooth. She just used it kind of as a phone and to do email.
Right.
So I don't know the answer to that question, but she didn't have any trouble using it in a simple way.
They do put defibrillators inside you. I have a friend who has one.
They do?
And it'll go off on him. Yep. And it'll go off. It was surgically implanted, and it goes off on him every now and then.
Oh, I didn't
lying
know
on the
that.
sofa, and he'll get a big jolt. and
Well, that's good to know.
it monitored that there was any irregularity in his heartbeat, and it gave him a jolt to get the heartbeat going back normal.
Well, that's really good to know. Thank you, Brad.
He's had it for, oh God, at least 10, 12 years.
Well, it'll keep him alive.
Anyhow,
that's important.
Yeah. Who's got our next question?
This is David.
Go ahead, David.
So I was looking at my storage. I was running out of storage a few weeks ago, and I was trying to clean stuff up. And I noticed that the most storage using app I have is the Apple Maps app. And it takes up almost 15 gigs of storage. And I was reading where they implemented an offline map feature, maybe in the last iOS or something, or this current one we're on now. But I don't see any way to turn it off, like where you can just say, I don't want the offline map ability to kind of save that storage. Anyone know any way to disable that, or maybe it's
This is
not
Brad.
possible?
I would look at the settings for your map app. Is it the Apple Maps app?
Yes.
Go into settings and look for maps.
I looked at some forums and they gave some steps, but when I went in, I don't know if it's a voiceover problem or whether I couldn't seem to get to the menus they were talking about, or the options. They said you should be able to turn them off. You go into your profile, like under the maps, there's like a little profile
Maybe
button.
that would be it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you choose your profile, and then it didn't seem to be any kind of like master switch just to turn off offline maps.
Well, you can go
I don't know if anyone had tried it. But
this is Brad. You can go to settings, general, and look for iPhone storage. And it'll tell you stuff like, how much storage you have and how much available space. And then it shows you a list of apps, which is probably where you saw that.
Right,
Maps
that's where I
is.
saw it.
If you go to that
top apps,
and flick up, with your rotor, flick up, you can delete the storage. You're not deleting the app, you're deleting its data. And then the app may prompt you to download more information. And that may be where you get your option to choose offline maps or download the data,
Yeah, maybe so. I didn't try
How
that.
much storage do you have on your iPhone?
It's 128. I mean, I've got it down to where I have about 70 gigs free, so I guess I'm not really low anymore. But
no, that's fine.
I think I called in last week about that, or maybe a couple weeks ago when Labor Day, about that Overcast app. I believe Greg said he'd also use it, and they changed the app a lot. I mean, they did a major rebuild, and so it seemed to be compiling all my podcasts. It wasn't deleting the ones I'd already done with, or it was just ballooning. So it got up to like 50 gigs of storage or something, and I had to do a lot of.
Yeah, there's some settings in the Overcast app. I use it, and I think you can go in there, and I believe there is a setting to get it to automatically delete stuff you've listened to.
Yeah, I did adjust that. I deleted everything. I just wiped out all the data, and now it seems to be only storing like one per podcast, unless I changed the setting to do 2 or 3. But he also put the guy Marco put in the notes. I think there were some problems with the deletion feature, and I think that's been corrected and maybe an update. So maybe that's what I was running into. It didn't seem to be getting rid of mine effectively, and I was starting to get more and more storage being taken up. But anyway, I guess I guess anybody's low on storage, check that Maps app, because that's a pretty big
Go
chunk.
in there and check that
of storage for one app.
iPhone storage, and you'll see what's in there. Also, if it's downloaded an update, but it hadn't installed it yet, you'll usually find those right up at the top because, they take up some space. They're somewhere near the top, maybe not at the top because your Maps or your Overcast may have more data, but. Mine's the music app. It says there's like 60 something gigabytes of music data.
Wow.
But anyway. Okay, who hadn't had a chance to ask a question? Somebody new?
This is Deborah.
Go ahead, Deborah.
I was looking through the settings the other day and I noticed that there was a setting that said picture descriptions. And I thought, okay, what does that do? So I looked through it and so I clicked a few things, but I wasn't sure what I was doing. So I decided I better stop that.
Okay.
So I'd like to know if it does what it seems to say it does. And when I was thumbing through it, it gave me all these different apps and locations and stuff. And it was like 300 of them. And I thought,
wow.
Do you have to click each one or what?
Who knows about this picture description? I'm not familiar with that.
I didn't know it was there.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you were looking in settings. It sounds like this feature, and you're turning it on for which apps it'll work in, and it probably works in pretty much anything. Anybody familiar with this? Okay, well, play with it. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. You either turn it on or turn it off for an app, and then when you're in an app, go ahead, Pat.
I think I did on one of the updates, it talked about that briefly. And I think it does do a little bit of a description. Like if I'm in Facebook or get a text message, I do get a little description, but it isn't like Be My Eyes or nothing. But I think it works in any place there's a photo or something.
Yeah, I wonder if it's under accessibility. I know there's under, what is it, voiceover. Oh God, I never remember these things.
There's
I know it when I see
voiceover
it.
accessibility, and then there's
Well, under you go to settings, accessibility, voiceover. There's, what is it, voiceover
sounds and
description.
haptics.
No, it's under voiceover. Just I could get my iPhone out and look at it, but let's see. Hang on.
This is what did you say it was called?
You said it was called
Picture descriptions.
I'll look at my
see here.
settings.
Rideshare and transit folder.
Guys,
5
can hear
apps. Settings.
I go to settings.
Cellular. But personal. VPN. Notification. Sounds and focus. Screen time. General. Control center. Action button. But display and brightness button. Home screen and app live. Accessibility button. Vision. Heading.
Is
Voiceover.
it image
On. Button.
description?
Yeah, that's it.
Voiceover. On.
Okay.
Go to
Image.
voiceover.
Yes.
Switch button. Speech. Braille. Voiceover. Verbosity. Button. Voiceover recognition. Button.
Voiceover recognition.
Using
And there's
on-device
3
intelligence.
things in
Your iPhone
here.
will using on-device intelligence. Your iPhone will automatically improve the accessibility of apps, images, and text.
Yeah,
Voiceover recognition should not be relied upon in circumstances where you could be harmed or injured. In high-risk situations, for navigation, or for the diagnosis or treatment. Image descriptions. Off. Button.
Image description, mine is turned off. If I turn it on, it'll describe images to me. Okay.
Your iPhone will speak descriptions of images and apps and on the web.
Okay.
Screen recognition.
Okay.
On. Button.
Then there's screen recognition. We've talked about this many times in here.
Your iPhone will automatically make apps more accessible by recognizing items on the screen. Text recognition. Switch button. On.
This way it can recognize text in an image as well. Now, once you've got all these either turned on to your choosing, you then need to go into your rotor and add, let's see if it's here.
Characters. Edit. Screen recognition. Off.
You want to turn, well, there's various ways. I put screen recognition in my rotor. Some people don't like it. And there are other ways to turn it on, but I like it in my rotor. And if I want it on, I click up, and now it's on for this app.
Off.
Off.
Vertical navigation.
Of course, it can cause havoc if it's on and you're in an app and you don't want it on, and messing things up. But I have found some apps, like once again, I was using the Southwest Airlines app last night, and they must have had an update because those little buttons on the bottom of the screen are not saying what they are again. Where it's like book flight or whatever they say at the bottom of the app. And I had to turn screen recognition on, and it read the button labels just fine. So they do that every now and then. They'll do an update to that app, and on one screen or another, there's something that it's not reading, and I'll turn on screen recognition. So it will read them, and then I turn it off when I don't need it. But that's what it'll do for you. I'm not sure about picture recognition. That's
well, it was image. I was calling it incorrectly because I recognized when it read out the warning about not using it in certain places, and so I remember that.
Hang on. Okay, hang on. I heard Herbie, and then we'll go to Pete.
Okay, well, you ended up answering my question because the other thing I'd thought of that maybe you encountered was picture-in-picture, which is a completely different thing, and that's to do with video. But
completely different thing.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question: is were you looking in general, and that's what you encountered? But nope. So very good.
All right, Pete, go ahead.
I was just going to caution Deborah that I would be cautious and if you turn it on thinking that, you're blind and you would like to have images described to you, it may cause you more confusion with the rest of your voiceover actions and activities than it will, to do you good with image describing. So I would generally, we caution people for the most part with that stuff like screen recognition and that kind of stuff to keep it turned off, because we find more often than not it screws up voiceover.
It just confuses people. I wouldn't say it screws up voiceover. It just
confuses.
It does when it's turned on. Your voiceover is going to behave a little differently because it like I said, in the case of the Southwest, it's reading what it sees on the screen. And in order to make my app act normally with voiceover gestures, I have to turn it off. And a lot of times you'll go into an app and it just is not working right. And you're wondering what in the world is going on. And I've had that happen to me in my NFB Newsline app. It won't read an article. And then I've realized that it's only reading the current screen. It won't read beyond the current screen because voiceover recognition is turned on. As soon as I turn it off, it's not the NFB Newsline app that's the problem. It's that I had voiceover recognition. So voiceover recognition is on, your phone's going to act weird sometimes. But there's other times when it'll
You mean screen
tell you what's on
recognition?
the screen when it's not properly labeled. So anyway.
This is Greg.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, I think just to be clear, you're talking screen recognition that can screw things up if it's turned on. Image and text description, I've found to be real helpful.
Yeah, it just talks a lot.
Right.
And you may not want to talk that much. So yeah.
Yeah.
And it is screen recognition that'll cause you some headaches and confusion.
Exactly.
Text recognition will read text in images, and image description will tell you picture of a man and a young boy by a lake fishing.
Well, on Facebook, that's helpful.
Maybe, yeah.
And sometimes because I don't know when I follow family on Facebook, nobody ever labels anything.
No.
So you get picture, blah, 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 blah,
exactly.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Especially
on Facebook, because it's just
Yeah.
individual users posting pictures and nobody knows about alt text.
Or a looks like an image with some text on it. I'm going like, well, whoopee.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Useless.
Voiceover recognition can be helpful, but it can also cause you headaches and confusion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks a lot. I just
you're welcome.
Wondered what that was because I was trying to discover if it's appropriate. I was listening to Mosin today, and he was going through iOS 18 thoroughly, and wow,
I put that out a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
two
I
and a half
didn't.
hour long podcast. So yeah, he's very exhaustive. He covers
Yeah,
it pretty thoroughly.
yeah.
Good listen.
So I thought, gee, I didn't listen for several days, and that one came up, and I
Yeah,
thought,
it was an
wow,
extra episode. Yep. Came out in the
yeah,
middle of the week.
yeah.
All right. Thank you. Let's see. We got about 10 more minutes. Let's do speed mode through a few more questions and get us to the top of the hour. And then we'll go into the afterbuzz.
Uh,
Pat, go ahead.
I got on here late. I got involved in a phone call. What episode is this? So I can listen to the beginning
Today,
of it.
this is
Yeah,
episode 650.
thank you.
You are welcome. I'm sure it'll be put up on the podcast or the website here in a few days. As soon as Julie gets to it. Okay, who else? That was a good quickie.
Brian?
Ryan.
Yeah, I noticed something last week, and I checked everything, but for some reason, like my new phone basically syncs with my old phone, everything, like phone numbers that come in through the phone, everything, except text messages are not syncing.
Text or iMessage?
They're iMessages, I believe. Yeah.
It should sync those.
Yeah, and
It's the
it's
text
not
messages,
syncing any at all.
SMS that are usually tricky.
Yeah, most of them are iMessages on my new phone that are there, but nothing is
Go
on the
into
old
your
phone.
iCloud settings. Go at the top of settings. You see your name. Tap on your name.
Yeah.
Select iCloud. Then there should be a list of things that sync with iCloud. Make sure messages is turned on both devices, and it will sync messages through iCloud. And what comes in on one device will show up on another. I assume when you say your old iPhone, one of them's got a working phone number and it's your primary device, and the other one's your old one and no longer has a working phone number.
That's
correct?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, the phone number doesn't matter as long as it's signed into iCloud and connected to, Wi-Fi or something like that. They'll sync through iCloud. And that's probably it. Go look at that list of iCloud services and make sure messages is checked on both devices.
Everything else, like even if I download a new app on my
that's
new
another
phone,
setting in the app store.
it goes into the old phone also.
Yep.
So I don't know. I guess I must have accidentally turned it off.
Well, there's so many settings. It's easy to overlook stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Who's next?
This is Herbie.
You're welcome. Herbie, go ahead.
One other thing to check too with messages, and this probably matters more for text messaging, but if you go to the actual messages settings, there's a thing that's called like message forwarding or allow messages on other devices, and you can make sure that your other iPhone is turned on in that setting, and that should also solve any syncing issues.
Definitely. And that applies if you want your messages sent to your iPhone or your M device that we're not talking about in here. iPad, I mean, your iPad or other device signed into your same iCloud account, Apple ID. Very good. Thanks, Harvey. Okay, who's next? Got 5 more minutes.
Gary.
Gary, go ahead.
Yeah, we're thinking about upgrading very soon, and we were thinking about doing getting some sort of a 15, some version of that. So I was just curious in the differences in the 3 versions.
Say it again. In the what? Did you say?
An iPhone 15, some sort of iPhone 15 version.
They're almost not available anymore.
Oh, the Pros,
the 16s. Well, they usually take them away. I was looking through the Apple Store app today, and all I could see was 16s and the SE usually.
Oh, huh.
It's like the 15 Pro and Pro Max will quickly go away, but the 15s are still there. They
Huh.
may be pulling them because they don't do Apple intelligence AI.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll
But,
have to rethink that because I hadn't really looked at the App Store yet. I thought,
well,
you know,
yeah. Now, if you go to the Apple Store, they've probably, I'm sure they have inventory in the stores.
yeah,
And I'm sure the same thing if you go to Best Buy
right.
or other third, non-Apple retailers are going to sell, they got stock.
Yeah, my main
at this
question about
point-
it was the difference in the three phones, I guess.
Well, what three phones of the
The 15 Pro,
Pat.
yeah, the 15.
Pro and Pro Max? Go ahead, Pat.
I think the main difference, the Pro Max has a bigger and longer battery time.
Yep.
So I
Better
had the
camera.
11 and I got mainly because of the battery and the camera. That's the main difference from the Pro to the Pro Max. And the plain one as well, the battery is different between the basic 15, the Pro, and the Pro Max. That's why
This is
I
Jody.
always get the Pro
Go ahead,
Max.
Jody.
Doesn't the Pro Max also have LiDAR?
Yes, the Pro and Pro Max have LiDAR,
Okay.
which is,
Yeah,
distance, just like radar, except with light. And it'll detect distance.
doorway, yeah.
Yeah.
Heard people.
And I tell you, at this point, I wouldn't buy a 15 because the 16s are about to come out.
Just wait for the
And-
16? Okay.
Well,
That's a good
for what
thought.
you could pay for a 15, a regular 15, a 15 Plus, 15 Pro, Pro Max, you can get a 16 here in just a little over a week, and that would get you the current iPhone.
Yeah.
Which is why
Yeah.
Apple has removed them from the Apple Store app. You can't buy the older phones on the Apple Store app anymore.
This is
Yeah.
Pete.
Go ahead, Pete.
My guess, and I may be wrong, is that you will be able to buy them, but I think they probably shut them down while the event was, going on, and while they're preparing with all the new inventory. But they'll
store's back
generally
up.
drop the prices for those 15s too.
Yeah, they might. Yeah.
I think they drop prices for the older models
Yeah.
once the new ones are out. But
They have in
I'm
the
I'm
past,
getting
yeah.
the 16s. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is Jody.
Go ahead, Jody.
And you can also get them from your carrier. They'll have the older phones.
Correct. They'll
Right.
have them. As long as they got inventory in stock, they'll have
Yeah,
them.
my
They'll probably
main
have-
question was just what the difference in the three phones was if I were going to do that. But it
Well-
does it does make sense to wait for the 16.
As far as 15s versus 16s, the difference between the regular 15, the regular 15 Plus, the 15 Pro, and the Pro Max in the 15 series it's comparable to the difference in those four models because there's four of them. There's not three.
Right. Okay.
In the 16s as well as the 15s. The 15s always have more battery and better cameras and things like that. But
The pros.
it's all, I think if you wait, I think you're probably going to start finding good deals on 15s that are still in stock. Apple won't sell them anymore, but the third party retailers.
Yeah, and Amazon included.
Yeah, Amazon too. Because Amazon sells a lot of stuff from third parties. But
This is Pete, but I think the main difference, Gary, from the straight 15s, which is the 15 and the 15 Plus, versus the Pros, which is the 15 Pro and the Pro Max, I think is your LiDAR and your camera and your battery life. Those are your main differences.
The main thing.
All right. Okay.
All right. And with
I don't
that,
I don't
folks,
think there's
we're-
a different chip in there.
Yeah, that's
yeah, there is. Yeah, there
that's
is.
even giving us more
there is. And
decisions
the
to wait or
15
find a sale.
15 and the 15 Pro have a different chip. Same thing with the 14 and the 14 Pro. They had a different chip. But starting with the 16, it is a different chip, but it's a is a A18 versus a A18 Pro.
Pro,
so the chip
right.
is still different. Anyway, with that, we are now at the top of the hour. And actually, we're over. It is now 9:01 p.m. here in the Central
All
Time
right.
Zone. So I'd like to say thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Sree, for that wonderful Apple event wrap up for us. I'd like to remind everybody that tomorrow at 5 o'clock Central in this same Zoom room, we will do the iBUG mini buzz from 5 to 6 p.m. Nothing on Wednesday. Thursday, we've got the Vila Book Club. Download that book, set your reader on 2x, and you can get it done in time for the meeting. That's at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday. And I can't remember, Sarah Pollock, I believe, is leading that discussion. Friday is the iBUG Friday Night Audio Described Movie, and we are going to be watching Friday Night Lights and learn all the dirt and the lowdown on Texas high school football. And we'll follow that movie that starts at 7:15 with pre-movie social time. Name that tune, a joke or two, and then the movie starts at 8 or as close to 8 as we can get it. After movie discussion will follow and trivia that everybody loves. Terry is already busily working on putting her trivia presentation together. And then that's it. There's nothing on the weekend this weekend. And then we'll be back here next Monday and start the cycle all over again. So with that, I am going to stop the recording